I've got the throat coat hot tea to my left. I've got my notepad to my right, and I've got Chad Chop with his beard and his Los Dodgers
Mm,
threads. Any reason why you're rocking the Dodgers?
just excited for the show.
Hey
Hey, today.
now.
Shohei, big time.
Wow, if you've been under a rock, the one and only Ichiro Suzuki has signed with the Dodgers for $14.38. Did I get that right?
It's close. No, big contract. Big. It's funny because right now there's a little bit of going back and forth of, maybe accusing the Dodgers of being a little bit tricky with it, but it's not. They're on the hook for $46 million a year for seemingly ever. And that's basically what it comes out to as far as the tax hit on it. So a large sum of money going to Shohei.
Wow, amazing. And he's going to play for free basically, and then
Yeah.
he's going to get all that money when he's retired, when he's playing golf and bowling and writing poetry or whatever he wants to do in his 40s. I think Mookie Betts has the same clause. I think
And
it's
Freddie.
smart.
Yeah,
And
I do too.
Freddie.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers are just saying, "Hey, just hang tight, be a lifelong Dodger, and we're gonna make sure you're good and paid. You don't have to do a thing in the autumn of your life, so to speak." Well, hey, listener, welcome episode 78, Talking Shop with Coach Ballgame and Coach Chop. It's a podcast about making youth sports better. Let's make coaches better. Let's make parents smarter. Let's make kids happier. And today's episode, you know what it's sponsored by, Chopper? It's sponsored by Mrs. Ballgame Swag.
Mm.
The merch on CoachBallgame.com. It's 20% off. Thank you very much. Happy
Well, let's see.
holidays. You can see some more swag in Chopper's screen there if you're YouTubing. There's Attaboy, Attagirl.
Yeah.
There's hoodies, there's hats, there's all that stuff. And Mrs. Ballgame did it all. She designed it. She built the website, built the link. So go get those Christmas gifts for mom, dad, brother, sister, son, and daughter. 20% off. Also, always shouting out my partner in crime, Warstick. I got to play golf with Ian Kinsler last week in Dallas. And I think Warstick is like the Travis Matthew of baseball, man. I really do. It's just tight, and the bats are hot, and the gloves smell great. So thank you there, Warstick. And then one last thing on my end, then we'll see what you're up to, Chad Chopper. Is my final Sandlot of the tour is this weekend in New Orleans. I mean,
Yeah.
this is number 60 of 60. We've been all across North America. I'm going to put together like a video of all the different stops with Barry Zito's song Ballpark Kids underneath it as the soundtrack. He actually played that song at our Nashville Sandlot, but I'll have pictures from all those different spots. And New Orleans this weekend, Coach Flicky's going to fly in with me and join me there. So we'll tag team that. And then he'll be tag teaming the Livermore, California area with me as well, which is just outside of Oakland,
Know it
first week of
well.
January, man. So we're turning the page quick. I'll be setting up my 2024 schedule in January and February. MLB is sending me my dates with them. So this holiday season, I'll be booking it out and getting things going for 2024. Hey, Chopper, I saw Chad Chop Baseball on social media, brother. We've got a new handle. There's some content coming. Tell the listener what's been going on in your world.
I gotta say my wife does all that. And I'm an
The man.
analog man. But no, she's
Diesel.
gonna the diesel. She's gonna be just kind of trying to tell our story and make sure folks that don't know about it find out about it, and folks that do know about it kind of just see that we're doing what we do. We're loving kids. We're trying to help raise their baseball knowledge, their baseball IQ, make sure they know that they don't find their worth, their value, or their identity in how they perform on the field. It is found in how they treat each other, treat others, and that they're loved and they're fearfully and wonderfully made. So that's the vibe from Chad Chop at chat, whatever that's at, the handle. Deb knows. The Diesel knows.
I think it's at Chad Chop Baseball. Could be wrong, but listener, you probably know more than we do on that.
Yeah.
I had an email from a loyal listener about a topic on bats, and we're going to save that for the very end. I want to save that for the end. It's about like what type of bats should we use? We've got this USSA versus the USSA. You're in that world a lot more than I am. I'm more of a broomstick and a lemon kind of a guy with my sandlot. So that's a bit of a tease from an email from a great listener there about bats and what kind of bat should be used. Should safety be prioritized? Should bombs be prioritized? All of these things. So I think it's a hot topic in the streets of elite baseball. So that is that. Our guest today, I'm very excited, is played in the show for 14 years for a whole bunch of teams, hit a bunch of bombs, and just can't wait to unpack his career and what he's doing now. It was my boots on the ground in Beaumont, Texas. Jay Bruce is our guest today. Again, probably top 5 of all time, first and last names sounding like a first name. Jay Bruce, strong. I talked about Jay Bruce to a couple of our John Boy Media buddies. Talking, Jake said, "You mean strong and handsome, Jay Bruce?" I said, yes. So that's how he's known in New York, as strong and handsome, Jay Bruce. But played for the Reds. He played for the Mets, the Phillies, Mariners, Cleveland Indians, who are now the Guardians, and he finished up his career with the Yankees. But I can't wait to talk to him about some clutch moments in his life. He was very clutch, had a lot of walk-offs. How did that happen? Was it taught? Is it a natural thing? And I want to talk to him about Dusty Baker. He had Dusty in Cincinnati, and I know they have a great relationship. I want to ask him, how is Dusty Baker? What makes him Dusty Baker? So that can be good wisdom there for all of our listeners, coaches, and patrons. Thank you again, all the patrons, all the listeners. You tune in every week. Keep chiming in with some emails and messages on social media. Any questions you might have, folks, let us know all about it. Bang. And on cue, on time, here he is.
Let's go.
I know. I'll cut this out. And
oh yeah.
Bang.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Can you see us? Can you hear us?
I can see you and I can hear you. How about me?
You're great.
Sound
you
good.
Look
Golden.
good.
Cool.
You sound good.
Cool.
All right. I'll go 3, 2, 1. And on cue, there he is. The man with 2 amazing first names, maybe the best of all time. Hit 319 pumps in the show. That's 319 more than I did. And my man, Jay Bruce, I want you to meet my podcast partner in crime. This is Chad Chop. Played in the Expos organization back in the day. Then he coached in the Giants and the Dodgers organization. And we're just talking youth baseball. We're talking how do we make youth sports better? How do we make youth baseball better? And we're excited to have you on. So thanks for coming. And I wanted you two to meet because you guys are cut from the same cloth.
Awesome. Yeah, nice to meet you, man. What years did you coach?
I was a major league coach with him from 2014 to 2021. So got a ring in 14 with the Giants, and then got a ring in 2020 with the Dodgers. So yeah, it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is cool. Yeah, the Giants, they were the end of a lot of sad stories for the Reds back in the day.
Yeah, man.
God, 2012 still haunts me. I really think we were the best team in the league, and then one of our pitchers got hurt, and it just kind of threw everything off, and they just figured out a way to get us. So, but yeah, man, nice to meet you. What do you do now?
Now I'm coaching youth. Yeah. So I was doing high school baseball the last 2 years. Left the Dodgers in 21 because my wife said, "Hey, I need help." So I've got 4 boys.
Yeah,
So Deb's like, and she's never said that. She's an athlete and she's always been like, "Hey, you do you, I'll hold it down."
Yeah.
And so my oldest got to that 14-year-old age and she's like, "Dude, I need help. This kid's talking back." And so dad needed to come home and kind of dial it in. So I took a head coaching job at a Christian high school and did that for a couple years. And now I'm coaching my 9-year-old and his group of friends. They play football, basketball, and baseball together. Great families, great kids. So
very nice.
Having a blast with that, but excited to have you on, dude. And you guys,
man, thanks.
You're right about that Reds, that run was crazy. And
the Giants, we had a good, so good, man.
I was going to say that being in the Giants clubhouse versus the Dodger clubhouse is kind of an incredible kind of contrast, right? Where the Dodgers are by far the best team. Our process is second to none. And then you get into the postseason and it's like, I don't know if you guys felt this with the Reds, but it's almost like you feel like you're supposed to win, right? Whereas the Giants squeak in and they're just like, dude, no one expects us to do anything. We have no expectations. Kind of be free and just go. And I think there's power in that,
absolutely, man. Yeah. Ignorance is bliss, a lot of times, I think. And the but when they had Boch there too, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better, person to steer the ship, and I felt that way with Dusty as well. And, I had Tito, which was kind of cut from the same cloth, but the energy matters. Like, it's how you bring it, how you let it like show up on the field, I think, means a lot. So, but the Dodgers, man, they're awesome. So I'm good buddies with Danny Lehman.
Dude, the best. The most awesome, he's the greatest. I tell him all the time, really when I grow up, I want to be like you, Danny. He's brilliant. He's humble. He's smart. I love Danny.
He's going to be a great manager for sure. Yeah. I told him, so I just actually took a kind of a player development consulting role, a part-time role with the Astros. And I told him, I knew they were probably going to go with Espada. They were probably going to hire him just because they've got such a good thing going. But I told Danny, I said, "Hey, dude, keep your eye on that, man, because like that, someone's going to give you a shot, and like, getting back to Houston would be super cool for him." But, I feel like the Astros have another 2 or 3 years where they're really going to be able to, stay on top, and then it's going to depend on their player development. But, after that little run, they're probably going to find, a new manager, someone to kind of fresh start it with. And I think he'll be a great candidate.
I tell him all the time, Danny, when you get that chance, I'm in, dude. So I had to leave for my family, and in baseball, everyone respects that. And then recently, my wife's like, "Hey, we're in a pretty good spot. So if you want to get back in, I know that's where I belong," and she knows that. And I told her, "Honey, it's not that easy. You don't just make a phone call and get back in." But I'm going through the same process that you're going through. Filled it out,
and that's. Exactly. So that's why I felt like, like I'm in a fortunate position. Like I don't have to work, but I felt like, the window does close a little bit, and the value that I can add as far as like understanding the non-analytic point of view and the analytic point of view, I think helps me be able to like kind of add value and create that marriage within organizations that I think is super important. And I'm like, man, if I can get in and just dip my toe in the water right now, that at least keeps the window open for me and lets people know that, hey, I'm around still. I haven't just disappeared and forgotten about baseball. So if I ever want to get back in it like hardcore full time, it'll, I'll have something to write home on,
So filling out the PD with the Dodgers, they sent me the questionnaire. I had a great conversation with Andrew. He took me to Will Rhymes, which is the farm director. Both brilliant
I know
people.
Will well. Yeah.
Will's a great dude. Jonathan, his brother, was my partner doing replay with the Dodgers.
Wow.
So
cool.
One of their questions, and I'm sure it's not a huge secret what the types of questions they ask, but it's like, if you had unlimited resources, what would your dream job be? And like kind of explain it. And mine was like, dude, I just want to like early work every day. Like I'm simple. Like I want to get out there and grind and create good habits and have those good conversations about the mental side of it, of like, hey, what was your heart rate? Like, what was your thought process? Just young kids when they first sign, they've never failed. So it's like,
no,
teach
dude,
you how to navigate, you know, and fall in love with process over results and just love the grind. And like, you can work through that. So I think I've got a lot to give. And I love to serve, dude. So it's, you know,
that's cool.
You've had good coaches and bad ones. The good ones are there for the players, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, you mentioned like the heart rate and stuff is huge. Like someone told me one time that like being scared and nervous and anxious is the same physical feeling as excitement.
That's right.
It's just about how you let it like enter your mind or leave your mind, I guess. And that hit home like hard with me. I'm like, dude, that is so true and so crazy. Because when you think about it and you're like, if you put it into perspective of like how you actually physically feel, there is no difference. And so like having these kids understand like, dude, you're going to be in so many big moments. Like the whole idea is just to like normalize those all the time. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what happens right this second. Like you just have to prepare for the next one, you know, control what you can control and then move on. So
yeah, Coach Ballgame, we are like-minded because I just had this conversation with my 10 and 11-year-olds of like exactly verbatim of what you said. That fear or anxiety, change the label. That's excitement. You get the opportunity. And if you fail, so what? It's an opportunity.
Yeah,
I love it. Coach Ballgame, I'm hijacking this thing, dude. Get in here.
I know, right? I think I'll just take a seat with the listener here. I wish you guys could get along. But it sounds like you're doing just fine. Well, on that topic, like being able to communicate that to a young player is everything. And I haven't met a lot of guys that have played 14 years in the show, and then they could take a step back and be able to communicate to a young player those really intricate things about heart rate and emotions, things of that nature. And that's what I really was blown away with you, Jay, when I got to have lunch with you there in Beaumont. We got to coach a sandlot together in your hometown. Your boys were there, your whole community's there. And we're going to unpack that later on. I do want to talk about you know, the youth in Beaumont and why in the world are you so passionate about it? Which I love. But it sure is nice to see somebody that's been there, done that, highest level, that can communicate and be a mentor for the next one. Let's start at the beginning. Did you have a communicator or a mentor at the very beginning growing up in Texas, Jay, that taught you the love of baseball?
Well, you know, my dad, you know, he taught me the love of baseball. I think that you know, something that we, you know, that you talk about and you harp on, he was probably a little more on the rigid side of things. You know, I think that was very not popular, but that's just kind of like, I hate when people say this, but like the way it was, you know? And so I didn't really think anything like of it. It was just like he was my dad coaching me and like he was hard on me and, you know, but like not, I don't know. I think it helped in a lot of ways. But there was a coach who was absolutely in love with just youth baseball. Like he loved it. He wasn't, you know, never played it to speak of, wasn't really good at it. Like he just loved kids. He loved coaching. His name was Greg Brown, and he was part of the little league I was at. And so I would kind of tell you, I told you, you know, we were eating, like I was the most obnoxious little baseball kid ever. Like I lived like, you know, 400 yards from the little league field, and I could see who was there. And I was like always sitting on go, right? Like I was always ready to go and go play sandlot. And the older kids would be like, dude, get out of here, man. Like you can't, like you're too young. You know, we're playing with hardball, whatever it may be. They just like wouldn't let me play. So then like I got my mom to start making sandwiches and bringing them, and like, you know, like Kool-Aid or Gatorade. Like I'd bring it out there for them and kind of try and, you know, finagle my way in. And then there was this coach who would take some of the older guys at the elementary school, and at the time, like they're fifth grade, I'm in like the second grade or whatever, you know, but he would take them after school and like throw wiffle ball BP to them in the gym, and they'd play all these games. And it was like this really cool thing that he did. And he kind of took me under his wing and like allowed me to like be involved in that. And he was so positive and he was such a nice guy. And, you know, he was really a core memory of my Little League experience. And he just had a heart of gold and he just wanted the best for like the kids in that Little League. And he's one of my, I guess, earliest people that I would remember when it comes to like being a mentor. And then my high school coach, I was very fortunate to have a high school coach with, you know, he played professional baseball and it was more of a management situation. Like he wasn't coaching us to like, I mean, he was, but it wasn't like the teaching us the fundamentals of the game necessarily. It was like kind of like how to be a professional, you know, from a young age. And I really, I mean, so thankful that he, you know, he was around and we still have a good relationship. We still talk a lot. And yeah, so those are the two people I think that would probably, I would say that, you know, had the biggest impact on my, I guess, mindset and like approach to baseball.
The core memories there. I mean, the kids consume so much more than you think they do. And, you know, I've had hundreds of discussions with guys our age that laid the game of baseball down because of a bad coach early on, because of the portrait that was painted in a dark way or a pressure-filled way. And I just said, enough of this. We got this doesn't have to be like this. The culture doesn't have to be like this. You have kind of turned that around after your playing career. You want to make sure that that you're being that light for that young crew. I do want to unpack your playing career, and there's so many stories to tell, but let's jump to that. Why now, and why are you so passionate about the youth baseball scene in Beaumont?
Well, for me, you know, baseball is near and dear to me. Like I love it with everything I have. I mean, it was so good to me. I was so fortunate to play it for such a long time. And aside from like all the things that you would expect, like the money and the awards and all the stuff I got to do, like baseball has always been like the safest place that I could possibly be. Like I loved it, man. I mean, I would play as much sandlot baseball as you'd let me. And one, I don't think that happens as much anymore. I don't think there's as much sandlot baseball going on. Kids are not running around the neighborhood, you know, creating pickup games like they used to. And secondly, I think that in order to keep baseball the best sport in the world, in my opinion, you have to have as many kids play and as many talented kids play that may otherwise not have any interest in it other than, hey, man, this is fun. Like, because all that other stuff, you know, who you're going to be as a grown up baseball player, that all comes out in the wash, right? Like, and if you're not allowed the grace and the time and the patience to like understand the game and understand if you even actually like it or you can be any good at it. I mean, dude, that's like 12 until you're a teenager, basically. Like you don't know any better, you know, and the pressure cooker of, you know, honestly, I don't even call it select baseball anymore. It's just travel ball. Like playing select baseball does not mean that you are actually any better than the kids playing in the Little League. Now there are some, obviously, but it's almost like the picture that has been painted by whoever runs these organizations that if your kid doesn't play this, they're not going to be blah 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 blah. And I told you I could have played baseball in Afghanistan, dude, and I was going to the big leagues. I don't know why. Like I don't, you know, like it wasn't because I chased select ball, you know, since I was 7 years old. And for me, I just think that there's too much put on these kids at a young age. I think that it's all about, you know, and listen, I think winning is so important. I think winning and competing and being competitive in your life is like maybe one of the best attributes you can have. But when it's like win or the alternative is like this negative environment, even when you're winning, a lot of times in select ball, it's very negative. I don't stand for that, man. I don't think it's any good. I don't think that every kid should be held to this like crazy, like unattainable standard at such a young age. And I don't think kids should be playing 60 or 70 baseball games a year. They don't play that many games in college. They play 60 games in college, you know, or whatever it is. But it's not, it's that and then the College World Series. But like, why would an 8-year-old need to do that? You know, why wouldn't they just be able to come to the field and, you know, play with their friends and then go get a snow cone?
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard to
be simple.
believe. Yeah, it's hard to believe that this idea is novel. Of just play the long game,
crazy.
Right? Big picture. So we bring on guys that play to the highest level, that say the exact same thing, preach the same message, and then slowly but surely, hopefully, you know, these coaches will listen. But Chopper, I don't want to commandeer the whole thing. What do you got on that?
I want to touch on a few things that Jay said. Winning and learning, right? It's what it's all about. Can you win with honor? And if it doesn't go your way, what'd you learn? And that's got to be the lens from a coach and from a player, especially at this age. Is winning important? Absolutely. You want to learn how to navigate failure and find a way to come out on top. If they're keeping score, try to win. But the second that game ends, go shake your opponent's hand, show them respect, carry yourself in a way. I tell my kids, no one should ever be able to tell if we're winning or losing based on your body language or the tears in your eyes. Right.
That's exactly right. And and I was an emotional kid, and I'm still emotional. Like, I'm an emotional person. And that's one thing that I had to tackle, you know, getting to the big leagues. I had never struggled in my entire life. And there were multiple nights where I cried myself to sleep as a kid. I'm one of the most memorable things that I ever went through. It was 2010, I believe. And I had just come back from wrist surgery or broken wrist, and I wasn't hitting for any power like the first half of the year, and I was just grinding. I was struggling real bad. And, you know, if I wasn't hitting for power, like, I wasn't going to win a batting title. Like, I had to, that was my, you know, like what I was adding to the team, you know? And and I'll never forget, I called Andre Ethier, which is like a blast from the past. But, and man, he was like, he explained it to me like so well about just the process of like understanding and learning and like, you know, flushing the day before and just, you know, think about things that, you know, control things that you can control, quantify success in a different way. You know, it's not always only win and lose.
Yep.
You know, were you prepared? Were you mentally ready? Did you get your rest? How have you been eating? Like, all this stuff that, like, obviously 8-year-olds don't have to concern themselves with, but along the way, you gain framework, or you don't, about how to manage those things. Because, I mean, you've seen it firsthand, and you've experienced it, you know, playing professional baseball, you know, singing for your supper it's a high pressure situation, you know, and it's built that way on purpose. And I think it should stay like that, but you should not have to try and replicate that when you're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yep.
You just shouldn't.
If you have that high pressure for kids, they're going to quit the first chance they get. They've got to have love of play when they're young. They have to.
No doubt. Dude, I mean, you have to have love of play all the time. Like, I quit.
Yeah, you're right.
I retired because I did not love it anymore. I did not love my situation. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't have to do this, you know? And I always told, I mean, Joey Votto and I would talk ad nauseum about that. I'm like, dude, when I don't like it anymore, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, period. And here we are. Like, and I didn't like it because I don't love the game. I didn't like it because I had become something that I did not ever plan on having to go to the field with.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just how it goes. I mean, you get older and like, it is what it is. But, you know, I think too, like, from youth baseball, I think it you know, it can really kind of help, like, be the fabric of a community.
Yes.
And, you know, you weren't here, but like Beaumont, man, it's like the either the biggest small town or the smallest big town you could be in, depending on however you want to say it, you know. And having a really awesome little league matters a lot to the community.
Yep.
And, you know, we've kind of been infiltrated by the, you know, the Ford Park on I-10, you know, with all the teams coming in from everywhere, and they're, you know, paying $10 to get in, and then the blah 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 blah. You know, it's too much. Instead of just like, we got people that walk to the ballpark, walk to the Little League field to eat the cheesesteak and watch some 10 and 12-year-olds they don't even know. That's what I think of when I think of youth baseball. Like, how long can we hold on to that? And, for me, like, being from Beaumont, living here, people are proud of my success, but like, I'm just myself. Like, I'm just Jay to mostly everyone here. Like, when we were sitting in the restaurant, 3 or 4 people like stopped by and, said hello. And like, that's what I love about Beaumont. That's what I love about being from a smaller town. And, and so for me, like, I do my best to completely stay out of I try not to draw any attention to myself at all, like around here. You know what I mean? I just try and do my thing, like just be like a normal dad, like drop their kids off at school, coach the baseball team. But I think that people do probably listen a little bit, or pay attention to the things that my actions, right? And, for me, so, nurturing the youth baseball kind of identity here, I think is important because, like, I want my kids to enjoy it. I want their friends to enjoy it. And a lot of their lifetime, like, memories are going to be riding their bikes to the ballpark or, getting in a fight at like, whatever it may be. There's so many cool things that that happen at Little League fields. They don't happen at these select tournaments. That's not why you're there. You're there to see how many games you can play in a day. And then you go run to a restaurant, eat, and then come back and play again. And, it's like, at Little League, it's just like, man, your buddies that you go to school with are just like, grinding it out at the ballpark. Like that's something that has nothing to do with the game of baseball.
You're making me think about, like, I have our kids do 2-ball, which is a really fun game, and
great game.
and Pepper, but they like to do this. They like to do this other game where I don't even know the name of it, but they have so much joy. I'm worried they're going to get hurt because it's like tag and they're like throwing a ball. It's like almost like ultimate football, but with tag. And I shut it down a lot because I'm like, dude, I just don't want someone to get hurt in between games, but I need to stop shutting it down because that's a core memory. Them playing that game.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Dude, like, and it's hard because I agree with you. Like, I mean, it happens with me and my kids all the time. They'll be doing something. I'm like, guys, stop.
Someone's going to get hurt.
I'm like, yeah, but like, if the worst thing that happens, like when those kids are playing that game is like somebody rolls an ankle, like, okay. Like, they're 12 or 10 or 9.
I'm in.
They're not getting recruited, like, and that's what I was telling Coach Ballgame. I was like, I would love to tell all the parents in the Little League, hey, like, guys, your kid's not getting recruited today.
Not today.
Probably not going to play in the big leagues. If he does, you screaming at him from the benches isn't going to help. It's not getting him there, And so, when he reached out, or I don't even really remember how it happened, but I was all in, man. Like I was all for it. I love any type of sandlot that can be played. Like, I am in, because that's where I learned how to navigate things, how to navigate relationships, how to navigate failure. It's like, and what people don't realize is you use that your whole life.
Yeah.
People that have been involved in these situations, like, almost no one's going to play baseball past college. Almost no one's going to play baseball in college, the numbers wise, but these are things that you can use throughout your whole life to create awesome relationships with people based on how you treat them and how you treat in the eye of, whatever type of adversity that you're going to go up against.
I could tell why Coach Ballgame had you come on, because you are torn from the same cloth. The question I have for you is, as a coach and now coaching youth, what's something that stands out to you that brings you the most joy? And I'm sure there's a lot, but if there's one thing where you're like, dude, I love it when X, Y, or Z happens.
I love it when the kids, the player feels like they're improving.
Yeah.
And they like see that and they can feel it, right?
Their face changes.
It's a whole different body language, they don't feel like they're hiding from everything out there. You can, like, they walk a little higher. They, they start doing better when they think they can do better.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they find out that they actually might be capable of something that's more than what they currently are doing, they're going to try harder. They're going to open up to you a little bit more. They're going to have better participation. They're going to listen better because they feel like they can be part of it. So many times the issue is not the kid being a bad kid or not listening. It's they're scared to death. they're scared. They don't know what's going on. They don't have any inkling of how everyone else is viewing them. And if you can be like set the tone and be the standard of like everyone here is treated with so much respect, and my goal is to help you understand the game. That's another thing. I love when kids start understanding the game better. There's so many small nuanced decisions that have to be made. And especially when you're in like little league and we're in competitive coach pitch. So like when you run the ball past the baseline, the play's dead, and like tagging up and blah, blah, blah. Like all these things are foreign to these kids. And when they start learning and they start making baseball plays, I'm like, wow, that's super cool. And it's hard to even explain, but like one thing I noticed is like teaching a kid the bare bone fundamentals is hard. I never like teaching a kid how to catch a ball. That was difficult for me. Because I never had to think about it. I probably did at some point, but I'm like, yeah, just put your glove up and catch it. But that's not like, they need more than that. They need more engagement. And something that, Coach Ballgame said at the little meeting was like, if you cannot let these kids know that they can trust you, then they're never going to open up. You're never going to get the best out of them, because you have to make the place safe for them.
Beautiful. Yep. The line I just wrote down is they start playing better when they think they can play better. That's just so great.
I mean, it really is true, man. Like,
I know.
You have no idea, and you see it in their face. They're just like a deer in headlights.
Yeah. Yep. And as a coach, you got to look through that lens of how can I empower them, not make them afraid to fail, but give them that joy when they can improve. And if you're going to improve, you're going to fail a lot before you get to that place. So coaches, take the foot off the gas and allow the failure to happen. That's when the beauty comes. You talked about building trust just then. And, as I look at your playing career, you came out of the gates hot. I mean, you 12th overall pick in 2005, right behind Andrew McCutchen. You stormed through the minors, and then you have an all-world rookie season. Was there a mentor? Was there somebody that put their arm around you in that rookie season and helped you through the good, helped you through the bad? Any mentors?
Yeah, so my idol growing up was Ken Griffey Jr. I think like everyone that was born in the 80s or 90s, was obsessed with Ken Griffey Jr. And, I was a little different because I actually got to play with him, which was wild. But, it's funny. He did not he wasn't necessarily like a super like on your hip mentor, but the way that he went about his business, listen, he was chasing 600 home runs. Like he was not grinding it out every single day. Like I'm sure he did when he was young, but with the ease at which he like carried himself, and then he would, he'd come up to me and it would speed up on me like every other day, basically. Like once they figured out what I couldn't do, and then I was trying to figure out what they were trying to do, and blah, 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 blah. He would always tell me, hey man, just breathe. Just breathe. Just remember to breathe, And that was like way more beneficial than he would ever know. Like for Ken Griffey Jr. to be like, hey dude, just relax. And on one hand, you're like, yeah, easy for you to say, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, are you kidding me? But on the other hand, you're like, man, he's been through it. He had been through so much at that point. He had like 12 surgeries and being injured, and like the homecoming that never really was like as sweet as it was supposed to be in Cincinnati. Right. Like he had dealt with so much adversity for someone who was, one of the best players ever. And, watching that helped. And then really, being able to go through this experience with Joey Votto was, man, it was so helpful because we were both rookies at the same time. He made the team out of spring training, but I got called up in May. And he has a different personality than me. He's much more quiet and to himself. And, as a rookie, you're supposed to be quiet and to yourself. And I wasn't necessarily, I talk to everybody and talk a lot. And so it was a funny, like, Jekyll and Hyde thing, but man, we went at it together, kind of like arm in arm. And he was older. He's 4 years older than I am. So he was, he had been through a lot more and had a better understanding of just how the world worked, so he was a huge, not necessarily mentor, but like a confidant of mine, able to really kind of, take this thing and grab the bull by the horns at young ages. And then really when it started changing for me, I would say is when I met Scott Rolen.
Oh,
Scott Rolen's like perfection when it comes to baseball and everything there is to do with it. Like the way he worked, the way he acted, the way he carried himself, the way he lived his life off the field. Like for me, that was like the epitome of what I was shooting for. And most ways fell short, but I feel like I took a lot of his energy and how he used it and applied it to my game.
We've had a lot of former pros on this pod, and when I ask that question, the themes that stand out are servant leader and leader by example. I don't hear a lot of rah-rah, not a lot of guys that talk, but even Junior. I mean, just the fact that he paid attention to your day to day and had some notes there. Just breathe, man. And then Rolen, I mean, I've never met him, only watched him from afar, and I can say that's exactly what I thought he was. Just a servant leader by example, the top-notch individual, and that just makes a great teammate, huh?
For sure. And now looking back, like when I met him, he was 34, I guess. And so now being able to put myself in his shoes, like when he was 34 and the type of mentor and like the type of leader he was able to be to a 22-year-old, like that's a hard ask, man. Like, and there's very few people that are good at it. And for what he was able to do every single day from a leadership role and a work ethic role and a preparedness to play role was like, man, I don't know a lot of people like him. Like it's impressive.
Awesome. Well, I want the listener to push pause right now, go on YouTube, because I'm about to talk about this walk-off bomb in 2010 that put the Reds in the playoffs. It gave you the division title, NL Central Division walk-off bomb to win it all. I mean, just watching that video and the 4-minute coverage afterwards, I mean, it's just little kid pure joy. I'm guessing that every time you stepped on that sandlot as a kid in Beaumont, there was that dream of that actual moment happening. It happens to you. And then I noticed a guy named Dusty Baker brought you in for a hug, and he whispered something in your ear. That was the question I had. Do you remember what he said? What did Dusty say in that moment?
I don't remember exactly what he said, but the theme of the day was Wandy Rodriguez. I think we went over this at lunch, but Wandy Rodriguez was pitching that night.
Right.
And, I played every day. I mean, like I played 155, 157, 160, 161. Like that was my goal, is to play every single day. And that almost never happens anymore. But it got to the point where I was so bad against Wandy Rodriguez that Dusty's like, hey man, like I already have trouble giving you days off. And he's like, this is a good one. So like, just don't like show up late, like go out, have dinner, have some drinks, and like, just take tomorrow off, Well, I came into the field that day and he called me into his office. When I got there, the bench coach was like, hey, Dusty's looking for you. And I assumed I wasn't going to play. But he called me and he's like, hey man, you're gonna play today. He's like, we have a chance to clinch the division and I want you on the field when that happens. And I was like, wow, well, I really appreciate that. He's like, but you're gonna hit 7th. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I was so bad against Wandy that like I wasn't even like, he was like, you're not playing. But he had the belief and had the, you know, the thought to be like, if we clinch the division and he's not on the field, I'm going to feel bad about that, you know, because we were kind of like coming into our own. Like we were these young kids who were just didn't know any better that got good all of a sudden. And so I hit seventh, and then the at bat before the home run, I was facing Wandy with the bases loaded. And I hit like a short hop line drive to the second baseman, and he dove and he caught it and he threw me out at first base for the third out. And I was like, God, like that could have been it, right? Like I could have broken through there and like, you know, and so then after that, I came up and hit the home run. I feel like it was something to the effect of like, you know, I told you, you know, we were going to do it, or like, you know, whatever, like, you know, that's why I trust you, or something like that, you know, because, you know, Dusty spent a lot of time on people, man. Like he spent way less time on the X's and O's. I mean, he did plenty of that as well, but I feel like his approach was like, I got to make sure the people are functioning properly. And if they're doing that, then the game is going to be easy. And he was he was an expert at that. It was a savant at dealing with people.
I was going to ask you, you know, what made Dusty Baker, and you answered it perfectly. Yeah, Chopper.
I want to touch on this because I think this is so important for young players of like, and big leaguers too. I remember Brandon Crawford coming in, watching his video against Greinke, and he was like 0 for 21, and I'm in there with him, and he's like, dude, I can't buy a hit off this guy. I'm like, all right, dude, before you go out there and take the field against this guy, watch all of your extra base hits from this year. Like, see yourself having success.
Yeah.
And then go out there and just let it hang and go. But like,
for sure,
I just think there's so much power in us staying in a positive mindset. And I know you could speak to this too. I know you're going to agree with me, but I know in my career, there were times when I would let an 0 for 2 turn into an 0 for 12 because I was so caught up in like, dude, how did that guy make that line drive play and blah, blah, blah. No, dude, like I got to the later part where it was like, all right, if I was 0 for 2, I was sold out. I'm like, I'm going to be 2 for 4 with 2 doubles. Like it's coming to me. And then if I ended up 0 for 4, at least I had joy through that process.
Trying to figure it out. Exactly.
No,
you know, I completely agree. And I think at the end of the day, what I noticed when I was getting older is like playing the game at that level takes so much energy, physically, mentally, like so much. And negative energy and negative thoughts they take more effort than positive ones.
Yeah.
And if you can figure out a way to just accept what happened, feel it and internalize it. I'm not saying act like nothing's wrong.
No. Yeah.
Feel it and internalize it and then move on.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be so far ahead of the game, so far ahead, and you're going to feel better about it. You're going to, you know, not use as much wasted energy. There's not as much wasted energy going on. And the game is already hard enough. It's already so hard. Why would you make it harder on yourself going up there with a negative mindset? Like, and it happens all the time. And it happens not just in baseball, it happens in everything. And that's just another like lesson to learn. Like, man, you have the ability to control so few things in the game. Well, you ought to spend some time on controlling them the best you can.
Yeah. So So my 8 years I had a chance to be in major league clubhouses. That was my whole goal, was like, how can I be a light? How can I encourage? Who needs it today? So I would go in every single day knowing like, all right, dude, this dude's 0 for 12. I'm gonna go sit next to him. Sometimes it's just being in his presence. Sometimes it's saying something funny, timely. Sometimes it's like, hey, how's your daughter? How was her recital? You know what I mean? So that they can get their mind off of like, dude, I stink, and just reminding him you're the best player in the whole world and there's no one like you and you're a savage, you know? And so that there's power in that.
That's the truth, man. And you know, like you'd walk in and like there'd be, you know, food on my chair and it's Dusty and it's some kind of soul food or something that this guy would go to restaurants to just get food for the players. And it was the same thing. He's watching. He's always watching. You know, you may look a little tired, so he gets you, you know, oxtails and rice and gravy because you needed to, you know, if it was late in the season, you needed to put some meat on your bones, like little stuff like that, you know. And he was so good at it. And the players that can do that are special, you know, because you have to like get outside of yourself for long enough to like help someone else. And you're right though, man, like positive interactions,
Matter.
they mean so much because there's so many negative ones. There's
It's all
so much
negative.
negative going on, and it's not even, it's designed that way. It's not even there. No one's trying to be, but like baseball is a game of failure. I mean, how many times have you heard it, And so, going in and being able to kind of compartmentalize that stuff was so important. And for me, like you said it earlier, like I tried to, on the field, tried to act like you would never know if I was doing well or I was doing terribly, because I tried to be just like this. And I think that one thing that happens looking back is like you don't even allow yourself to quote unquote enjoy the success as much as like you think. It's like some people that are very emotional would, but like it's a give and take, And so for me, like in order to have success, I had to stay even keel, and like it didn't matter what happened, good or bad, because the next opportunity was coming up so fast that like I didn't have time to think about it. And the other thing that I found is when you have success, you expect it. And so like the euphoria of success does not match like the valley of the failure, because you practice having success and you practice doing it perfectly. So when you do it, you're like, well, yeah, I practice that all the time. And so I honestly became more like obsessed with the problem solving aspect of the game. Like, why wasn't I able to do this, this, or this? Now I'm going to go work on not allowing that to happen as often as it's happening, instead of being like, man, I'm going to get 2 hits today or whatever it's going to be, because that's just a success, like a results oriented mindset. And you mentioned earlier, like the process.
Yeah.
What is the process? What about the process can you do to put yourself in a position to have success today?
Yep.
And that became way more like important to me than the actual numbers, because dude, no matter what I did, I was going to hit 250 with 30 and 90 something, like period. Like
back of the baseball card, don't lie.
Yeah, dude. And it's funny, and it really made me think once I got, down the road 4 or 5 years in the big leagues, I'm like, there are small things that you can improve on, but like you are who you are, man. And embrace that and make it the best version of yourself you can do. And the only way to do that is to allow yourself to be positive and allow yourself to understand like, hey, this is the path is not straight.
I've got a whole paper here of quotes. I mean, just a quote board. Man, you are full of, and when you got guys like Tito and Dusty as mentors and managers, I'm sure that's just it's streamlined in. You seem to be quite clutch in the big moment. You got a lot of walk-offs. The secret to that, because I think this is very important for coaches, even with coaches that coach youth. Is there a way to create clutch? What's the secret there for you, Jay?
I tried to normalize it, like with breathing. It's funny. So Fangraphs, it's a website that tracks advanced statistics, and it will track your pace between pitches. And I noticed when I took longer, I made better decisions. And that's because you slow it down. You're able to slow the game down. And they're actually, I mean, MLB now is basically trying to just delete all that because of the pitch clock and whatever. But I think breathing and allowing yourself to try, to slow it down, finding a way to do that. And I also think training clutch is helpful. I think that creating situations that are high leverage in a competitive and fun way help you. And I think that if you can normalize every single moment, like I used to hear that Manny Ramirez would have to be told by the umpire whether he struck out or walked.
Wow.
He wasn't even paying attention to the count. It didn't matter.
That's awesome.
It didn't matter. He's like, it was pitch to pitch. Like, I won this pitch or I lost this pitch. Okay, now the next one. I won this one or I lost this one. Now the next one. And it went on and on. They'd be like, hey, dude, that's 4 balls. Like, you go to first now. And he wouldn't even know. And it's like, man, if you could get that entrenched in like pitch to pitch, regardless if you're playing in LA or you're playing in Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, or if it's the 9th inning or the 1st inning, like that ability right there, I think trumps almost every other thing when it comes to like performing in the clutch. If the situation does not matter to you, then you're already way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
That's like,
yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And so, we also had Pete Rose around all the time. He's blacklisted.
Bang.
So he couldn't actually come to he was not allowed to come to the games for the Reds, basically. Like, he had to pay and buy his own ticket. He would buy a ticket in the Diamond Club, and there was a door that opened from the Diamond Club, and sometimes it would be opened for some reason. And he'd just be sitting in a chair there. And while we were walking out to the field, he'd talk to us and stuff. And my main takeaway from Pete Rose is he was so like obsessed with not giving an at bat away or giving a pitch away. He's like, I don't care if it's 20-0 and we're getting crushed. If I'm 2 for 4, I want to go 3 for 5. If I'm 0 for 4, I want to go 1 for 5. And that like mentality, though, where it just does not matter what happened before, good or bad. Like, if you can actually utilize that attribute and like put it into action, you're going to be so far ahead of the game. And the situation, it's not going to matter in a sense of like how you feel. Like, it's exciting, but you're not going to feel overwhelmed or inhibited by the situation. And that was always my goal.
So Madison Bumgarner, he had all that success in the postseason, right? So I asked him, 2015 or 2016, I'm like, Bum, how? He's like, honestly, dude, I turned down my give a crap dial. I was like, I just tricked myself into like, it's not a big deal. And it showed. I mean, he's got the second best ERA ever.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's still mad he gave up that one run because it was like a 7-0 game. And you just laid in like a 2-0 heater to Salvador Perez and he hit a homer in the World Series. And we're in the replay room and he comes off the field and he was so mad because that's the first run he's ever allowed in the World Series.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Dude, I mean, we got dominated by him a lot. The last time I got dominated by him was in the wild card game in 2016. I mean, he came to New York and just absolutely just deleted us. It was crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. And then Connor Gillespie.
I mean, what? Like, crazy.
Classic Giants. Yeah.
Seriously.
Hey, I had to kiss Matt Cain on the mouth after that home run, which is weird, but it is what it is because it was first and second, and Kaner was in the replay room with me, and I said, if he hits a home run right here, I will kiss you on the mouth. And then he hit a home run the next pitch, and we looked at each other, and it's like, baseball gods are watching him. Just went in.
Yeah.
It was one of those things.
It's a funny game, man. It really is.
It is what it is.
There's so many emotions that go into it,
Not that the Astros need it, man, but with all these nuggets, I mean, and all these dimes you're dropping, God, watch out, Houston Astros. Here they come again, brother. I love it.
Man, I hope that I can add some value.
No, you will. You will, dude.
That's another reason why I wanted to get back into it, right? Like, man, I was so fortunate to play so long and play for different teams and different organizations and different managers and players and blah, 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 blah. Like, I feel like I have some knowledge to share, but I want to make sure that I do it like, the old guys that come around that you're like, dude, like, shut up. Like, what are you talking about? I don't want to be that guy. Like, I want to be someone that people can trust, someone people can say, hey man, what do you got here? And, talk to them almost like as a peer, but also having them understand like, dude, I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
Because what you get from a lot of guys that used to play, they forget.
They forget
how hard the game was. And I'm like, bro, what have you been watching? Like, some of the old timers would be like, oh man, when I played, I sat on curveball. I'm like, well, you would never touch a pitch if you did that now. Like,
that's right.
I appreciate your career, but like every single player now throws 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
And so like the game is harder. It's harder than it was when I played. Like, the game has gotten better and it's going to continue to get better. And, it all circles back to why I love youth baseball so much, is because if we want to continue to have the game get better, we have to have as many people playing it as we can, and people are going to play it if it's fun.
Yeah, I want to say something to you.
Yeah,
I want to say one last thing, and then I'll stop jumping your ball game. But I was talking
too much, so sorry.
I was talking to Nick Hundley, and I was like, "Hey, dude, my wife said I can get back in," and I said, "I know it's going to take time." And Hundo said something to me that I want to say to you. The game needs people like you in it as coaches and as staff and as folks around to spread that message of energy and vibe and like staying positive and falling in love with the process. So like,
Sam,
I love it.
I was just about to say that like people are saying the secret to growing the game is the next generation. Well, the secret to the secret is you got to build an army of great coaches and great mentors. And you know, you are definitely one of those. This has been really great, and we could go for maybe 9 to 10 hours on I think just on Pete Rose and maybe Joey Votto. But we end every interview with a little trivia game. It's you versus the Chopper here, and this is your career questions, trivia on your career here, and let's see if Chopper. Maybe did a little homework.
I did.
Super lucky.
I did some homework, so I'm gonna go slow on these, Jay. I'm gonna give you the first chance to answer.
Okay.
I don't know, dude.
All right.
I don't know.
I did homework.
Before we get to that epic trivia contest, just you don't even have to say why, but just the names, or maybe just a quick little snippet on some teammates and players you played against. Now, the first one's hardest working teammate, and you might have already said it with Rolen, but who matches up with him on hardest working teammate?
I would say that Scott was the most consistent. I think Joey was probably the hardest working teammate that I've ever
grinder
with. Grinder and so meticulous. Like, have you ever read the book Talent is Overrated? Or heard of it?
Now
it's very, very dense, and I did not finish it, so I just want to put that out there. But like, there are so few people that I've ever met that can like have that hyper focus and like the ability to practice perfection, and he's one of them. And I learned everything I know about work ethic from him and one other person that I know. I mean, it shows. The guy's a savant. It's crazy.
Dang, meticulous Votto.
Yeah.
Most kind teammate.
Ooh, I love this question.
Most kind teammate.
Or thoughtful, like
thoughtful, kind. Maybe Brandon Nimmo or Adam Rosales.
Okay.
I like
Rosie was like the best, man. Yeah.
I'll go with most natural talent.
He played with Griffey.
Natural play with Griffey. I mean, that had to be up there. But his dad was like a big leaguer for like 20 years. So like
that helped.
Natural. I think Bryce Harper.
Ooh.
Probably the most natural talent that I've ever seen. Like, it just comes out that way. Like, he doesn't really even, I mean, he knows why, but like, it's been coming out that way for a long time. And I think Bryce is probably the most natural talent, or Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah. Those two just ooze nature, like, for sure.
Yeah.
Toughest pitcher you ever faced?
I gotta give it to Wandy.
I was gonna say it's gotta be Wandy, right? After hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, Wandy. Yeah, he's not the best pitcher I've ever faced, but he's definitely the most difficult for me. Him and Michael Waka are my two.
Ooh.
Which Waka is like tailor-made for me, but not clearly.
Yeah.
I'm like 2 for 30 with like 18 strikeouts or something.
I was gonna say, so that answer, I was gonna say, some guys it's like a comfortable AB, but you're out. But now 18 punches, that's not comfortable. You're not picking the ball up.
He was like,
he's one step ahead
when people weren't, and like, down with the changeup when like it was not a fun deal for me.
Last one on this deal is the funniest guy you ever played with.
Oh man. He and I butted heads quite a bit throughout our careers, but Todd Frazier is probably the funniest person I've ever played with.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
Jersey.
Hilarious.
Outstanding.
He's hilarious, and what a competitor too. The guy you want on your team.
Little League hero too, right? Me, a Little League hero too?
Yeah, don't
Indeed.
you don't even have to ask him.
He'll let you know.
Speaking of my Sandlot tours, hitting Tom's River in 2024.
He's got to go.
Hopefully, I'll run into him.
He's got to go.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if you need, I can put you in touch if you need that. Like I said, he and I butted heads a lot, but we definitely had a lot of respect for each other as players and professionals. So, and he's hilarious. If you see him, you have to make him do his basketball referee impersonation.
Oh,
it's not impersonation. Yes. He actually refs. So
I love that.
He's hilarious.
Him and Stephen Vogt.
Oh, Votey. Attaboy.
Yes.
All right. You just, as soon as you know the answer or guess as many times as you want, but
okay.
Let's face off here. The pitcher you had the most hits off of.
The most hits off of, I'm going to say Adam Wainwright.
And
Up
Central.
There. Close, but no cigar.
Lance Lynn.
Correct.
Challenging you with heaters. That's why. And you're ready for it.
He was. And then what's funny about that is when he went to the Rangers and I was with the Mariners, he changed how he pitched and he started dominating me.
What, like cutter? What did he yeah.
Cutter, curveballs, and he just changed his whole
changed.
Style.
Lance, you've changed.
You've changed, Lance. You've changed. Well, when you look at your stats against pitchers, you have 40 more plate appearances against him than any other pitcher. So all the numbers are heightened. Most hits, almost everything. Most home runs, most strikeouts. But this one was different. Most doubles off what pitcher? And
most doubles.
The hint is I don't know if anybody can spell his last name.
The most doubles. Can you give me the lead?
Here's another hint for you. Also a football player.
Like the name
in his day.
Oh, like in high school?
Possibly college.
Oh, Samardzija?
Bang. Jeff Samardzija.
Wow.
Shark
really?
Off Jeff Samardzija.
Oh, he was good and bad sometimes, but he had great stuff.
Hey, Shark could go like a complete game shutout, or he could give up 6 in the first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hot and cold.
Yes.
Shark. Tie game 1-1.
Great dude.
What 319 home runs? What count did you hit the most dingers?
Did he?
I'm gonna say 2-1.
Good guess.
I'm going 2-0.
Incorrect. Nobody gets it. He was an ambusher.
Dang it.
57 dingers.
Yeah.
Dang.
And that walk-off was 0-0. I love that. Yep. I mean, your arm goes up. It's almost like you hit the ball and then your arm goes up.
Right away.
Dude, and listen, if you watch 318, the other 318, not one time had my arm ever gone up.
Because you were a pro.
That's crazy. Yeah. And I don't know what came over me then, but the second most exciting home run that I ever hit was against the Yankees when I was in 17 when we tied the game. Lindor hit the grand slam off of Chad Green, and then I hit the home run off David Robertson to left center. That was probably the second most excited I'd ever been hitting a home run, for sure.
Well, it's like Corey Seager. Like you see Seager in the postseason, right? World Series playoffs, like he'll start screaming like a child, but like in season, dude, he's a pro. It's home run. He's different. I love it
for sure.
It's emotion.
I'm trying to get my kid to like him, like be his favorite player, kind of, just because like I think he's awesome.
He's awesome. He's
Kyle, and they're funny. They're different too.
Yeah. My little 6-year-old is in 2020 he was 3, right? If I'm doing the math right. So we're all in the bubble, and Corey Seager's his favorite player. So we did like a little trick or treat thing with our families. So we go to Corey and his
That's
wife,
cool.
Maddie, and we're walking up there. I'm like, Titus, that's Corey Seager. And he was too nervous, which I don't know why. And he like kept his head down. And then we're walking away. He didn't say a word to Corey, and Corey tried. And we're walking away, and Titus looks back at me and goes, "Hey, that was Corey Seager." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, like you could have just said what up."
Yeah, I played golf with
awesome.
Kinsler in Dallas last week. He beat me by a couple.
Good happen.
He just hits bombs. But he said Seager is next level on his work ethic in the cage. It is.
Oh, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, he's got his own coach. Yeah, Sean Wooten. Sean Wooten's his personal. Yeah, and he FaceTimes him, and yeah, it's 3, 4, 5 hours a day, bro, of like straight grinding. Yeah, he's maniacal.
Yeah, he's Tiger Woods stuff. That's there. Cool. Well, we're tie game 1-1. This one could be a chopper winner here, because the pitchers that you hit the most dingers off of that are friends of the pod that have been on this podcast. We're episode 78, and there's actually 3 guys that have been on our pod. 2 have been referenced so far today. Who'd you hit bombs off of that have been on this podcast?
Man, I don't know. Has Madison been on the podcast?
No, Bum has not been.
Okay.
But like Matt Cain has been, and he challenged you with a heater. So he's on there. Kainer's on there.
I liked facing Matt Cain.
You got to like facing Kainer. Yep.
Cain is great for me.
You've got a lefty who loves to play some music in Nashville.
I know this answer. I'm going to give you a chance. I know this answer. I'm going to let you have this one. Loves yoga.
Likes to play some music in.
And yoga.
Loves yoga.
Big contract. Bay Area.
Got Barry Zito.
Yeah.
Barry Zito.
Yeah. His father was once the manager of Frank Sinatra. True story.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
That's cool.
That's
awesome.
And the last one I think is the funniest guy in baseball history, and owns every AAA pitching record for the Nashville Sounds.
So
now calls games with the Brewers. Big old beard.
I was gonna say, so with the Brewers, AAA.
It's a sneaky one. Tim Dillard. Tim
Dillard.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Boy, he's funny.
Did he have? I remember, did he go through some kind of situation like he had sleep insomnia or something?
I believe so. He's had a lot of things go, and boy, he was able to come to my Milwaukee Sandlot. Cool. Having him talk with these kids and engage, and then we had a coaches clinic. Much like you, just passionate about how coaches coach kids. It was dreamy. So that was that. We'll call this. This is it, the final one, and this has nothing to do with Jay's career. But Jay started his career, Chopper, reaching base safely in 6 consecutive plate appearances. First Red to do that since 1977. But just baseball history, because I know you both love it. Most consecutive games reaching base is what player? Who's got that record?
Is it Joe DiMaggio?
DiMaggio has the hits, but not reaching base.
To start a career, or in general?
Just in general, 84 straight games reaching base.
Barry Bonds?
Ooh.
He's up there, but that's not it.
What generation? Is this fairly recent?
We'll go way back.
Oof.
Okay.
Ty Cobb.
Like Lou Gehrig? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. The Splendid Splinter.
The Splendid Splinter.
I don't even know who that is. That's on me.
Teddy.
Who is that?
Ted Williams.
Ted Williams? I've heard of him. Yes.
Georgia Peach. Biscuit Pats.
Well, you already answered the next guy, Georgia Peach. Ty Cobb, most consecutive seasons hitting 300 or better. 23.
Okay.
It's good if you like it. It's good if you like it.
Yeah, it's good if you like to not get out.
He slept all right.
This is for all the Kit Kats and cheeseburgers. Most consecutive games with a double, and he is current. Present day player.
Great hair. Current games with a double.
9 straight games with a double.
Bryce has a good hair.
He does have good hair.
Bo Bichette? Did Bo Bichette do it?
Well done, Chopper.
Ooh, wow.
Thank you, son of Dante. Bang.
Son of Dante.
Bo
Lake Street
Bichette.
Bomber.
Yes.
I did a camp with Bo Bichette with MLB in his hometown there in the Tampa area. And you know, he is very low key, doesn't express much, but when you got him in front of those kids, man, he lit up. There's another one. Another good dude. I could see him possibly winning a Roberto Clemente Award, which I haven't mentioned yet. The Jay Bruce nominated Roberto Clemente Award nominee
Attaboy.
for the Reds.
Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing having you on, brother.
So good, dude.
Thank you. Thank you guys, man. Thanks for having me. And ball game, I want to say too, like, you know, when you were talking about, you know, how like parents, when they're the coach of their kids, like have to do a better job and be more cognizant of how they're treating every player, that really hit home with me. My son, Cart, my 7-year-old, is you know, mildly interested in baseball. He likes it for fun. Like he doesn't, you know, he's not even close to, you know, wanting to play or being ready to play select ball or anything like that. It's way more about the snow cone for him right now. And like, there are times where, you know, I find myself getting frustrated about him not listening or about him not doing what he needs to do or whatever it may be. And, you know, meeting you and going to the camp with you really changed my perspective on like how I have to like approach that from here on out. And so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. And like, you know, whether my kid ever plays any type of competitive baseball to speak of does not matter one bit to me. But I want to do everything that I can to help him like forge all those characteristics that youth sports, you know, and learning youth sports brings, and being on a team, being a teammate, stuff like that. And so I think after meeting you and understanding kind of where you come from and how you like to do things, it's going to help me in the long run. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this. And I think it's gonna be better for West End Little League, and it's going to be better for Carter and Max Bruce for sure. So,
honored with that, Jay. Thank you for sharing. High praise, big time on that one. I learned that from my man Chopper every week. We discuss how to approach every kid on every different personality trait or skill level. How can we make them a good father one day, you know, and how can we make them a good server of their community? And then just passing that on to every other coach we know is the way we do it. So I'm good. Chopper, anything from you?
Thank you guys.
No, I loved it, Jay. It was an honor meeting you, dude. I think we think we'll connect. Yeah, we'll connect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time. And I'd love to stay in touch, dude. Seriously.
Appreciate it. Yeah, really appreciate it. Good luck to your boys too.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Jay.
Y'all take
Have
it
a great
easy.
day. Merry Christmas.
Guys.
Bye, brother.
See you, Jay. I mean, that was incredible, dude. Like,
I mean, that deserves a big old fat bang.
Dang.
Yeah. Takeaways from Jay Bruce, Chopperoo.
It's just impactful when our listeners hear it from a 14-year vet, like the mental side, staying positive, being a good human, having empathy. He brought up the fact that you impacted him in a positive way because you reminded him to be cool. And you remind me every week, just be cool with your kids. Like I had a interaction with my son over the weekend where just coaching him and he started tearing up, and I sat him down and I let him know, like, hey dude, like, I love you and I don't care about the mistakes, but I do care that when stuff doesn't go your way, this is how you're responding. And we had a wonderful interaction with it. And my wife was right there, the diesel just on the other side of the dugout. And she's like, she looked at me and she goes, you're such a good dad. And that's a grand slam, you know, as far as, cause you know, as coaches and you're navigating, and that's, you know, a big moment if there's such a thing in a 10-year-old, you know, travel ball game. But just having the right lens of like, no, I don't care about the mistakes. What I do care about is you still always having a positive mindset and being able to be coached and being able to strike out. What actually happened was he did like a check swing and the umpire called him out because of interference, which cool. It's never happened. It's a weird play, but like, that's not something to cry about. Like, it's like, it's okay. Be a good teammate, you know? And so that was really cool. But I like that Jay Bruce also said he had the most success when he had the slowest pace in between pitches, which there's a nugget there for our kids. Tim McCarver, who we grew up listening to in the World Series, I remember he once said on a broadcast, and I wrote it down, you slow down to win and you hurry up to lose. And so really impactful, and it sounds simple, but it's really true. If that game speeds up on a young player or even a great player, you're going to hurry up to lose. You've got to slow down, call timeout, tie your shoe. If you're a teammate, go call time and go smack him on the rear and tell him a joke or tell him that he's handsome so yeah, I loved it. It was great. Great job.
Yeah. So much to love about that. The comment of a person savant, Dusty Baker being a savant of people, and really picking up cues of this kid's tired, or this kid needs some energy, and actually going and getting him food that would give him more energy. Like, who does that? Well, Dusty Baker does that.
Love it.
Amazing guy. We didn't even get into the charities that he does. He has a sister with special needs, and man, has he raised lots of money with that. And just a great guy. And again, Roberto Clemente Award nominee. Like every team picks one a year, and he got that with the Reds. So awesome. I hope you enjoyed it, listener. We teased at the very end this topic of bats, and I'll just read it for you and then get your answer there, Chopper. Love the podcast, love the guests. I have young kids involved in youth sports, and this podcast keeps me grounded to my own beliefs of having fun and teaching the game and kids playing multiple sports and not specializing. Sidebar, when you were just talking about your son, I had a similar situation with my daughters, things around the house that needed to get done. There were tears involved, and this pod and you and other great mentors of mine kind of reminded me, hey, when you overreact, when you make your child cry, don't be self-righteous enough to not apologize or meet them where they're at, because what's way more important than your self-righteousness is your kid having a positive outlook on life. And so be very sensitive to that. So thank you. You also helped me have a grand slam moment there.
Bang.
This certain coach, he helps coach all of his kids' teams, enjoys watching them grow and get better. But a question, as he's finding out some leagues that they play in use USA bats, which I've read mimic the effects of a wood bat. And then some use this USSSA bat, which have a larger sweet spot and the ball explodes off the bat with great velocity. Sometimes it scares me for my pitchers and corner infielders. Of course, the kids like the latter because they can hit bombs with that bigger sweet spot. But if we are teaching the game in its purest form and for pure safety reasons, shouldn't we use the USA bats instead of the AAA? I ask this because most of youth baseball seems to be going the other direction. Curious what you guys think. Great question. Chopper, what do you got?
Well, I think my mountain bike tells everyone how I feel about this. I don't have the super lightweight mountain bike. I have the hybrid, which is heavier because I think it's a better workout. So I'm a fan of the bat that mimics a wooden bat. Personally, I think it's every family's choice. I've got plenty of kids on my team that use the hot bat, if you will, the USSSA bat. But the only bat I've ever purchased for my kids is actually a pure wooden bat. I just bought Bo like a real wooden bat because it's like, if you want to be good, you got to learn how to hit with wood at some point. So I'm a big fan of the smaller sweet spot. And then you really learn how to truly find a barrel. But I know I'm in the minority with this. What about your thoughts, Coach?
Yep, I'm with you there. Baseball hit me pretty cruel when I put a wooden bat in my hands for the first time after my freshman year of college in the CPL. The batting average went way down, and it almost felt like the love of the game almost dropped 100% for me, just because, boy, this is really difficult. I think the sooner you can get something that mimics a wooden bat into those hands, the longer career you are going to have. Now, at the same time, you've got kids of different skill levels. So maybe some kids who are brand new, who aren't going to hurt anybody. Maybe they need to use something that doesn't mimic a wooden bat, that's not as heavy, maybe a little bit lighter, bigger sweet spot. I think ultimately you want to extend careers. So if there's a law, if there's a bylaw, you have to use this certain bat or that certain bat. If you're thinking, ooh, if we use this certain bat, we're going to win this travel ball tournament, you're looking through the wrong lens. You're thinking about it the wrong way. How can we extend these careers longer? So for those elite players, challenge them. Put a wooden bat in their hands. Put something that mimics that. And then for maybe kids that are just starting out, give them the best chance to succeed so their career will last a little bit longer. So that's kind of my answer on that note. Great question. For any listeners out there, keep them coming. We love talking about these things. But that actually hit on a main theme of this podcast, which is play the long game, big picture. Jay Bruce spoke about it with earnest today about things that he dislikes about that travel ball community, that elite. When you have to win, when winning is the primary focus, the cons are going to outweigh the pros by a whole bunch. So don't do that. You don't have to win that game that day. Way more important things to do, like create good humans. So that's all I got. You got anything else, buddy?
Yeah, just real quick, touch on last weekend, our 11-year-old group, that's their first ever tournament win, which is pretty cool for the boys. Worked hard. And
11U, where was this at?
In Tucson, just USSSA, just a local tournament. Yeah, and then like I said, it's cool because our younger group has won tournaments and are getting moved up in classifications. There's 3 total. They've got moved up to AAA, and then will very quickly get moved up to majors. It's a good team, and the 11-year-old team's really good too. They would get into spots where if it didn't go their way right away, they would kind of get on their heels a little bit, which is an awesome life lesson. So it was really cool on Sunday, where we got punched in the mouth. We got back on our heels, but then we were able to rally and kept good energy, which was kind of our focus going into the day. And even though we got down 3-0, we stopped it right there. We kept it 3-0 going into the 4th. And then we dropped a 7 spot in the 4th. And it was fun because you could see them see that, wow, it works. Like if you stay positive and you're just a good teammate and you're just focused on energy and just keeping a positive thought and a positive mindset, you can push through adversity and changing that label from fear or anxiety to just excitement. And I told them, I'm like, you guys are going to see, you're going to start almost anticipating if we get down, like, oh, wait, will you wait and see? Wait, we'll show you what we're made of. It's just it's a fun thing to see. It's kind of like what Jay was saying earlier, where when you see kids believe they're good, they get better. So right. I got to see my 11-year-old see that, oh, they can get down in a game right away and it doesn't matter. There's no added pressure. It's almost an opportunity to show your resolve. So it was really cool, really powerful. The winning the tournament, I don't care about. That's fine. That's a byproduct of all the stuff we talk about. What I care about is them learning through that stress or that perceived stress. Hey, you can come out the other side of it and it feels even better. So it was really cool. Super proud of our boys. We handed out our awards last night, which is fun. Started doing a thing. Coaches, I recommend this, where if you have a cool moment or a cool game, give out awards. So we did a Cy Young Award winner, a Silver Slugger Award winner, and an MVP of the tournament. And I gave them $15 In-N-Out gift cards. And it was fun. So proud of my babies. I'm loving the chance to coach the PR pups, and can't say enough about the families and the boys. So feel very blessed, very fortunate. And
yes,
I got to fill out, I didn't tell you this yet, but I got to fill out my, my player development questionnaire for the Dodgers. So got that in the works. And Nick Hundley spoke to the farm director for the Rangers. And so similar to Jay Bruce, I think, it'll take time. That's how it goes. It's all about timing and openings and all that good stuff. But some people that really matter in the game of baseball, think highly of kind of what I bring, and they think the game needs more of positive energy and good humans that love other people and want to serve as a leader. So pretty cool.
The game needs you. Whoever gets you, they're super lucky. When winning is a byproduct, you win more.
You said it.
They start playing better when they think they can play better.
I'll defer my contract. I'll defer my contract too if I need to.
Play the long game.
That's funny.
Right?
Literally.
Good themes from this. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. We'll see what guest we have, and if we don't have a guest, we'll just we'll be merry anyway. How about it?
I like that. I like it. Bang.
Rake.